So today we'll be starting a new topic that is word problems in algebra and inequalities. I hope you have tried to solve the questions of the previous topic that we had covered, that is compound interest, simple interest, and profit and loss questions. So please go and solve at least some 20 or 30 questions, so that you get used to it and you get that skill to solve those questions under stressful conditions. So today, without much delay, we'll start the topic. Since the questions that are there from the previous year's questions are more than enough to build the skills that is required, I'll be just directly starting with the previous year's question itself. So in the previous topics, we referred to different questions of UPSC questions itself that were conducted by UPSC itself for different exams. In this topic, there are sufficient questions that we can use and we can build our skills. So we'll be directly today starting with these questions. And the topic is algebra, word problems, and inequalities. In these type of questions, the skill that is required, number one, is your basic word translations. What is word translations? Word translations are like converting sentences into mathematical equations. So this is the foremost skill that you would require. So you should understand or clearly, you have to be very clear and very, you should pay a lot of attention when you are converting the sentences into the mathematical equations. Then the second skill that you need is solving equations. Solving equations to find out the unknowns. So those equations may be linear, may be quadratic. So what is linear? If there is an equation where the powers of those variables are 1, for example, x plus y is equal to 5, x minus y is equal to 10. So these type of equations are linear because the powers here is 1. And what is quadratic equation? If you have squares here, x square plus 2x plus 5 is equal to 0, or y square minus 4 is equal to 0. So these type of equations where the highest power to which a variable is raised is 2. So these are quadratic equations. Normally around 75% is linear equation itself, but sometimes you may have to solve quadratic equations to find out the variables. And in solving linear equations, you would just line the equations and then eliminate one variable and then find out the other value of the other variables. In the quadratic equation, you can use factor method, or you can use a formula for the roots of the equation to find out the roots of the equation. For example, if the equation is ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0, so x is given by minus b plus 1 minus root of b square minus 4ac by 2a. So this is the equation or the formula to find out the root of an equation. You can use the factor method also, or you can use the formula directly. In this case, one value of x is equal to minus b plus root of b square minus 4ac by 2a. And another value of x is, there are two values because here there are only one values for a variable. Here there are two values because the power is 2. And another x is minus b minus root of b square minus 4ac upon 2a. So these are the two most important skills that you need. One is translating the sentences into equations, and you have to be very careful with this because people tend to make a lot of mistakes here. And always when you are translating the sentences into equations, double check it again, read the sentences again, and see that whether the equation is making sense or not. You can use numbers also, for example. To check whether the equations are correct or you have written it correctly, you can check with numbers. For example, you can take some random variables and see whether that is correct or not. And I'll show you how to do that also while solving these questions. And then you have to solve the equations, linear equations for calculating the variables. And you have to be very careful at every step. Please cross-check your calculations and don't make any silly mistakes. Ensure that whatever you are doing is correct, and double check all your steps so that you don't do any silly mistakes here. Because in CSAT we only solve around, some people, most of the people solve around 40 to 45 mathematics questions. That's some max that I'm saying. So whenever you are solving these questions, please ensure that whatever number of questions you solve, you ensure that the accuracy is more than 70 or 80%. You have to ensure that you have a high accuracy. So take your time. Time means you can take like 3 minutes per question. So every hour you can solve 20 questions. So if your accuracy is 90% or 100%, so you can clearly clear this exam. But the ideal time is 2 minutes to solve a question, 1.5 to 2 minutes. And then you take maths as the first section, and then solve the maths easy questions, and then move to the verbal part, then solve the easy questions in the verbal part, and then come back to the medium and difficult questions later in the maths section. So these algebra questions are normally sentence based. They'll give you sentences, you have to convert it into equations and then solve the final variables that you have to calculate. And one more thing, whenever you are reading those questions, please mark the variable that you have to calculate. For example, sometimes they may ask you the price or the age or anything, and you have to just write that variable and just circle it near the question and write question mark here so that you don't forget what is the variable that you are supposed to calculate and mark as an answer. Please ensure that, and read the question twice before even converting that sentences into equation. Read it twice and mark your variables here so that you don't forget what you have to mark. And then ensure your calculations at every step. So with this, I hope you have got a brief idea of how to solve these questions. So we'll move on with the questions now. If you have any particular question with this, you can ask now, or else once we are solving the questions, you can ask your doubt. Okay, we'll start with the questions now. These are all previous year CSE questions itself. So try to solve as quickly as possible and try to make as least mistakes as less number of mistakes as possible. So we'll start with the question. So please take, just like a normal way, please take 3 minutes to solve this. I'll start the timer. Yeah, please take 3 minutes to solve this. I've started the timer. It's time. Please select the answer choices that you have got. There are 5 votes. If you are yet to select the answers, please do that. 60% have got option B, 40% have got option C, and nobody has got option A or D. So if you are yet to solve, please take some time and solve, and then please mark your answers. We will get an idea of how many people have solved this. Okay, 9 people have now just voted. 56% majority have got option C. Let's see how to go about this question. They are saying that for a charity show, the total tickets sold were 420. Total tickets. that is equal to 420. Half of these tickets were sold at the rate of 5 each, 1/3 at the rate of 3 each, and the rest for 2 each. What was the total amount received? We have to calculate the total amount. So what is the total amount that we have to calculate? And they are saying that these tickets were sold at different prices. Certain amount was sold at 5. Some amount was, few tickets were sold at 3, and the rest were sold at 2 each, 2 rupees. So in this 420, half of that were sold at 5 rupees each. Half of this is 210, and they were sold at 5 rupees. 1/3 at the rate of 3 rupees each. 1/3 of 420 is 140. 140 into 3. And then the rest was sold at 2 rupees. So 210 and 140, total was 350. And the remaining is, total tickets that sold was 420, the remaining is 70. The 70 tickets were sold at 2 rupees. This is 1050. This is 4 3s are 12. 420. It's 3 rupees right here. This is 140. This is 7 plus 4 is 11. This is 4 plus 1 plus 1 is 6. It's 1610. The total amount that was collected is 1610. And the correct option is option C. So if you have any doubt in this question, please ask. So we'll move to the next question. Since we have no question in this, we'll move to the next question. Please take 3 minutes to solve this. Yeah, it's time. 55% have got option B, 27% have got option C, and 18% have got option B. And nobody has got option A. We'll see how to go about this question. So what they're saying is, a cow costs more than 4 goats, but less than 5 goats. If a goat costs between 600 and 800, which of the following is the most valid conclusion? A cow costs more than 2,500, a cow costs less than 3,600, a cow costs between 2,600 and 3,800, and a cow costs between 2,400 and 4,000. So we need to find out the range of the values of the cost of the cow. So the first sentence says that a cow costs more than 4 goats but less than 5 goats. So let the price of each goat is G, and they're saying that let the cost of one cow be C. And from the statement that they've given, 4 goats, cost of cow is greater than 4 goats but less than 5 goats. Now we need to find out the cost of the cow, the least value and the highest value. So they're saying that the goat costs between 600 and, so G is equal to 600 to 800. This is the values with which it ranges. So now we to find out the cost of the cow. To find out the least value, we will take the least value of this 600 and we'll substitute it here. That would be 6 4 24, 2,400. So the least cost of cow would be 2,400, and the maximum cost of the cow can be, the goat can be 800, and the maximum here is 5 times the goat. 5 8s are 40. So it will be less than 4,000. The cost of cow is somewhere between 2,400 and 4,000, and that answer choice is similar to, the same as option D. The correct option is option D. Excuse me. The cow cost between 2,400 and 4,000 rupees. I hope this is clear. If you have any query, please ask. Okay, we'll move to the next question then. So take 3 minutes to solve this. It's time. Please fill the answer choices if you have not yet selected it. 87%, the majority have got option B. 13% have got option C. Nobody has got option A or D. Let's see how to go about this question. They are saying that Usha runs faster than Kamala. Preeti runs slower than Swati. Swati runs slower than Kamala. Who is the slowest runner? I mean, you can solve this in 2 ways. I mean, both are the same, but one way is writing the notation greater than or smaller than. Another way is using the number line. I'll try to show you in the both ways. So number line, this would be the speeds that are represented on this number line is the speed with which each people run. So we have Usha, Kamala, Preeti, Swati. Only four people here. So they are saying the first sentence says that Usha runs faster than Kamala. So Kamala is here and Usha is greater than Kamala. And Preeti runs slower than Swati. Preeti runs slower than Swati and Swati runs slower than Kamala. So we have Preeti who runs, there's one more line you can draw and then combine each together, I mean these lines together. Preeti runs slower than Swati. Swati and Preeti. And then Swati runs slower than Kamala. You already have this inequality, I mean the number line here. They are saying that Swati runs slower than Kamala. Kamala is here. Swati should be less than Kamala. And Preeti should be less than Swati. So I have combined these two here. So Preeti has the lowest, is the slowest runner. Or what you can do is you can use these equations, these inequalities here. Usha runs faster than Kamala. Usha runs faster than Kamala. Then Preeti runs slower than Swati. Preeti is runs, so Swati is greater than Preeti. And then Swati runs slower than Kamala. So Kamala should be greater than Swati. Who is slowest? So what you can do is you can just line this up together. So you have Usha greater than Kamala, and Kamala greater than Swati, and Swati greater than Preeti. So when you combine all this, you get U greater than K is greater than S is greater than P, and the least is P. So the correct answer is option B. I hope this is clear. If you have any doubts, you can ask. So I think this is clear. We'll move to the next question then. So please take 3 minutes to solve this. So it's time. Please select the answer choices. So 71% have got option B, 29% have got option C. So we'll see how to go about this question. In a box of marbles, there are 3 less white marbles than red ones, and 5 more white marbles than the green ones. If there are a total of 10 white marbles, how many marbles are there in the box? So there are 10 white marbles here. And then they are saying that there are 3 less white marbles than the red ones. So white is, there are 3 less white marbles than the red ones. Whatever is red, how many? So let that be R. And there are 3 less. So white should be R less than, white should be equal to R minus 3. White. So white is 10. R minus 3. This implies R is equal to 13. And then the second thing is 5 more white marbles than the green ones. So white marbles is G plus 5. So in this case, white one, they are given that it's 10. G is this one, G is equal to 5. So we have, and then they are asking how many marbles are there in the box. There are only 3 colors marbles, white, green and red. So W plus R plus G, that is equal to 10 plus 5 plus 13. This is 48. I hope this is clear. If you have any kind of doubt in this question, please ask. Okay, now we'll move to the next question. So take 3 minutes to solve this. Yeah, it's time. Please select the answer choices that you have got. 57% have got C and 43% have got option B. Nobody has got option A or option D. So we'll see how to go about this question here. There are some nectar-filled flowers on a tree and some bees are hovering around it. If one bee lands on each flower, one bee will be left out. If two bees lands on each flower, one flower will be left out. The number of flowers and bees respectively are. So now they are given this equation here from this to this, and we have to find out, like there are 2 sentences, you have to create that 2 sentences into 2 equations and then solve for the variables. Let the number of flowers be F and number of bees be B, and then we'll convert this statement into equations. They're saying that there are flowers in some bees, and then in first sentence they are saying if one bee lands on each flower, one bee will be left out. So for example, I'm just taking this as an example so that it becomes easy to write an equation. If there are one bee lands on each flower, one bee will be left out. So if the flowers are 10, this is the flowers, or if the flowers are 10, then the bees are, one bee will, if on each flower, if on one bee lands on each flower, one bee will be left out. So the bee would be 11. So 10 bees will sit on the flowers, one bee will be left out. So we can write this as the flowers or the number of bees. The number of bees here would be 1 more than the flowers. Would be 1 more than the flowers. So if there are, for example, in this case, if there are 10 flowers, there will be 11 bees. So always one bee will be left out. So we can write that equation as B is equal to F plus 1. And then they are saying, so this is like using numbers to get the clarification here. And then you forget this. This is just for confirming this equation. And then one bee will be left out. If 2 bees land on each flower, one flower will be left out. So they are saying that if 2 bees land on each flower, one flower will be left out. So if there is F flowers and one flower will be left out, so that the remaining flowers would be F minus 1. One flower will be left out outside. The remaining flowers is F minus 1. If you add together, it will be F flowers itself. So in this will be the left out. So in this, each flower, there will be 2 bees sitting. So the total number of bees are, here in this case, 2 into F minus 1. This is the total number of bees that are there. 2 into F minus 1. Because in each flower, there are 2 bees sitting on each flower, and then after that, there will be only 1 flower left out. So in F minus 1 flowers, 2 bees will be sitting. So total number of bees is B is equal to 2 into F minus 1. We have here B is equal to F plus 1, and then we have another equation. This is first equation. This is second equation. And we'll substitute the value here and equate the values here. We have B is equal to F plus 1, B is equal to 2 into F minus 1. And we equate this here, F into 2 into F minus 1 is equal to F plus 1. 2F minus 2 is equal to F plus 1. F is equal to, I brought this here, F is equal to 2 will go here, 2 plus 1 is 3. The number of flowers are 3, and in this equation, B is equal to f plus 1, we have 3 plus 1, b is equal to 4. So the flowers are 3, bees are 4. The vast number of flowers and bees. First flower and then bees, 3 and 4. 3 and 4 is this option. Option C is correct. So there are 3 flowers and 4 bees. I hope things are clear. If you have any doubts, please ask. Okay, then we'll move to the next question. So take 3 minutes to solve this. It's time. Please select the answer choices. 90% have got option B. It is 21, and option C 10%. Nobody has got option A or option D. So we'll see how to go about this question. In aid of charity, every student in a class contributes as many rupees as the number of students in that class, with additional contribution of ₹2 by one student only. The total collection is 443. Then how many students are there in the class? So we need to find out, let n be the number of students, and we need to find out the number of students. They are saying that every student contributes the amount as many rupees as the number of students. So each student here, each student contributes n rupees n, because the n, they are saying that then the contribution is equal to the number of students that are there, and only one student gave an additional, so he is already giving additional 2 rupees. So he's already giving, this student is already giving n, and then he has given this n 2 also, and then the total collection is 443. So there are n students, and each student gives n rupees, and one student gives this additional 2 rupees plus 2, and that is equal to 443. And this is n square is equal to 443 minus 2. This is 441. N is equal to 441, and n square is equal to 441. N is equal to plus or minus root of 441. This is plus or minus 21. Since the number of students are positive, since n has to be positive, n is equal to 21. So the correct answer is option B. So majority have got option B. If still anyone has any query, you can please ask. I'll be happy to address your query. If there are no query, we'll move to the next question. So we'll move to the next question. So take 3 minutes to solve this question. It's time. Please select the answer choices that you've got. Currently, 5 people have selected the choices. So all of them have selected option B. So 8 votes are there. Majority, 87% now are from option B. Let's see how to go about this question. So they're saying that Anita's mathematics test had 70 problems carrying equal marks. There were 10, that is 10 arithmetic, 30 algebra, and 30 geometry questions were there. 30, 30, 60, and 70. Although she answered 70% of the arithmetic, 40% of the algebra, and 60% of the geometry problems correctly, she did not pass the test because she got less than 60% marks. The number of more questions she would have to answer correctly to earn a 60% passing marks. So each question here is of equal marks. They are of equal marks, and their total number of questions are 70. So there are 3 subjects here: arithmetic, algebra, and geometry. There are 3 questions, 3 subjects, and correct, incorrect, So arithmetic, there are 10 questions. Algebra, there are 30 questions, total questions this is. And geometry, there are 30 questions. So combined it is 70. So they're saying, although she answered 70% of the arithmetic questions. So there are 10 arithmetic questions. 70% of 10 is 7 questions she had done correctly. Incorrectly, she has done 3 questions, so total 10 questions. And then 40% of the algebra questions are 30. 40% is 4 3 is 12. So 12 questions are correct, and the remaining 18 questions are incorrect. And then 60% of the geometry questions you have done correctly. 6 is 18 questions are correct and 12 questions are incorrect. The total correct questions are 7 plus 12 plus 18. This is 37. So 37 is the correct questions that she had attempted. But to pass the exam, she had to score 60% marks. 60% of she had to do 60 correctly solve 60% of the questions because the marks are the same and there are no negative marks for any wrong answers. So 60% of 70 questions is 42 questions. So she had to correct answers should have been 42, but she has 37. So additionally, she has to solve 42 minus 37, that is 5 questions she had to correctly answer. So the correct answer is 5. So if she correctly answers 5 questions, she would reach 42 correct, and that would clearly make her, pass this exam. So the correct answer is option B. I hope you have understood this. If you still have any queries, please ask. Okay, I think this is clear. We'll move to the next question then. So take 3 minutes to solve this. It's time. Please select the answer choices that you've got. 80% have got option B, 20% have got option C. Nobody has got option D or option A. So let's see how to go about this question here. They're saying in a class there are 18 very tall boys. If these 18 people, if these constitute 3/4 of the boys, and the total number of boys is 2/3 of the total number of the students in the class, what is the number of girls in the class? So we need to find out the girls here. Let that be G, and let the number of boys be B. They're saying that there are 18 tall boys, and these tall boys constitute 3/4 of the boys. That is 3/4 of the boys into B. And the total number of boys is 2/3 of the total number of students. Let T be the total number of students. So they're saying the total number of boys B is equal to 2/3 to the total number of students. So here we know that B is equal to 18 into 4 divided by 3. So before multiplying, multiply at the end. Before that, please simplify as much as possible. 3 1s are 3 6 are, and 6 4s are 24. The boys are 24. So this is from this equation we have boys as 24 into by 3 into T. This implies T is equal to 24 into 3 divided by 2. So this 2 1s are 2 2s are 2 3s are 36. The total number of students are 36, and out of this 36, boys are 24. So the girls should be 36 minus 24, that is 12. So girls are 12, so G is equal to 12. I hope this is clear. The answer is option B. 12 girls are there in the class. If you have any doubts, please ask. Okay, we'll end the session here. It's almost 9 o'clock. If you have any doubts, please ask regarding these topics that we have covered today. Tomorrow there won't be any session because it's a Sunday. We'll be having the session on Monday at 8 o'clock. If you have any query or question, you can ask. Please feel free to ask. Thanks for coming. Yeah, Priya, please ask.
Sir, in the fourth question, nectar filled flowers, in that question.
Just. Yeah.
Sir, first equation B is equal to F plus 1. I got it, but second equation I didn't get it.
Okay, I'll just explain it to you again. They are saying that if two bees land on each flower, one flower will be left out. So let's take the flowers are like this is one flower, this is two flower, just like an example. Or this, let's take it as three flowers. Thus they are saying if bees are two bees are sitting on each flower, then one flower will be left out. So here there are two bees, and here there are two bees, and one flower is left out. So how many bees are there? Whatever the flowers, total flowers are there, you have to subtract 1 from that. If the total flower is F, you have to subtract 1, and that would be the remaining part here. This is the one flower that is extra. That one flower is left out. That is this extra, and this is the total flowers. So in these remaining flowers, there are two bees on each flower. So on each flower, these are the remaining flowers, and on each flower there are two bees. So this is the total number of bees that are there. F minus 1 into 2. This equation. I hope you have cleared this. If you still, if the things are not clear, please clarify it. Solve topic-wise questions. Time yourself now. I think we have solved sufficient questions. For every question, give 2 minutes. For example, if you are doing 20 questions, keep a timer of 20 minutes and solve 10 questions. And then once you are done, then go and see the solutions of all the 10 questions. You see the solutions of even the question that you have got it correct. See how best you can solve it, and then repeat this process as many times as possible. I hope there are no more questions to ask. Then thanks for coming. It's better to end the session here. Thanks for coming, and have a good night. Thank you.